Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have the feeling that many people are still at lunch or having conversation outside. Anyway, I think we should start. The program after that also should continue. So I'm here to announce our keynote speaker of this afternoon. His name is Jordi Morató. He's from the Polytechnic University of Catalonia in Spain, and he is the chairholder or the coordinator of the UNESCO chair on sustainability. And as you can imagine, he's working on issues of natural resources management with a focus on sustainable water management. But as a chair for sustainability, of course, looking at the topic from a very comprehensive point of view. So I'm very happy that you are here today and share your insights and your knowledge and your experience on issues that are related to water in the city, but also more than that, under the frame, under the topic of the presentation, recycling the city. So, Dr. Morato, thank you very much, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Y gracias a, bueno, buenas tardes. Gracias a los organizadores, la Universidad Autónoma de San Luis Potosí, and thanks to the Cologne University too for the invitation. Well, we want to talk about recycling the city. Recycling the city is a concept about how we can rethink the different processes that we are working today in the cities. No? Well, we can begin if the technology. Oh, well, this. One moment. Well, it seems that it works. We have to rethink the processes we talk. Well, we want to talk about first of the urbanization process very quickly. In the second place, we want to talk about the role of universities. We think that obviously the research partnerships are essential as a tool, a powerful tool for real transformation. And we detail some aspects, some key issues around the multi-scale research around sustainable water management. No? We finished the exposition, the presentation with two cases. We explain the Moravia socio-environmental transformation project and the Regnet network. No funciona esto. Ah, sí. ver. Well, if we want to talk about water and city, we always begin the presentation with this picture. You can see here 3 swimming pools in Japan. And obviously, the human has a really important impact on Earth. We are now in an urban world. You know that we are now more than 50% of population lives in cities in the world. And the forecast for the next years are that the higher increase will be done in the low and middle income nations. And then we have more population around the cities. If we can summarize the impact of cities to the global level with this, with these 3 data. 2%, the cities occupies now 2% of the surface of the planet. As we said before, more than 50% of the population lives in cities. I think in Mexico is near more than 75%, like in Colombia and other countries. And the people that live in the cities are the responsible of more than 75, different scientists talk even around 85% of the emission of greenhouse gases. Then you can see here the last data around the increasing of urban population in the world, comparing Mexico, Brazil, with 2 European countries, Denmark, Spain and Denmark. And obviously, you have to put here the China. Then the figure changed a lot, because then we have a really incredible increase in the last years in the urban population around the world. And how works the cities today? Most cities today have a territorial model that spread just for resource exploitation. Today, the cities are really a system that just consume resources. No? And obviously, this increase the different conflicts around natural resources and the environmental services. Here you can see Medellin, another city that we are working, and you can see the incredible increase in population during the last 60 years. And all of this population needs water. And the water, you can see more than 80% of the water demand from this city is really from very far of the city, from outside the city. No? Then we have a territorial and sustainability. We have different issues, but we have a conflict between a higher demand of natural resources and higher demand of environmental services. And we have, obviously, an increasing of population density and consumption patterns. We have a poor management of waste and resources and a poor management of territory. And then, well, we have to change. We have 2 examples, 2 cities that begins with B. Belém in Brazil. We work with the Núcleo de Altos Estudios Amazónicos in the Universidad Federal de Pará. And you can see Belém, obviously, with this is a picture of a modern city. But in Belém, you can find some steel houses, some palafitos. But this is not terrible. The terrible is the next data. It's really, it seems a joke. How in the Amazon river basin, how can we understand that more than 70% of the urban population do not have access to potable water? You can see the pluviometry of Belém. And more than 70% of people that lives in the urban area drinks polluted water, or drinks another thing, but no. Then the second example, Barcelona. Barcelona, you know, the Olympic city, the third or fourth tourist city in the world. But we are Mediterranean, and as a Mediterranean, we have experienced different episodes of droughts. And we have a really severe drought episode in 2007. And the solution during that period was another joke. Just to carry water by ships from Marsella and from Almeria, from the two different desalination plants. Well, now Barcelona have a desalination plant, but during this period, the only solution that politicians and water managers finally find was to carry water by ship. And do you imagine the cost to carry water to supply a city like Barcelona? And anyone can imagine what happened next, just the day that arrived the first ship? Any idea? ¿Qué pasó el día siguiente? ¿Alguna idea por allí detrás? Sorry? No se oye muy bien.
It wasn't enough
no,
water?
Yes. No. A flooding event. Like, well, I put an old picture of Barcelona because we are obviously used to flooding events after drought events. But just the day after the first ship arrived, it begins to rain a lot. And well, but the autonomous government of Catalonia have to pay the 30 ships full of water. Really a joke. But Barcelona can profit from, I think, more or less the half of the total water consumption just from rainwater. But this is not the case today. And we talk about the sewer system paradox, because the cities today, as you can see, do not profit from the rainwater. And these, obviously, most cities are impervious surfaces. And we have a lot of impervious surfaces, and then the water cannot have a natural infiltration. And then this water wash all the streets, and then we have a polluted runoff. And if we have a polluted runoff, we have to treat. And you know, then we have to treat in a wastewater treatment plant that we need energy. And I put here, well, this is a range of the different countries in the European Union sorted by in order to their oil dependence. As you can see, the worst country in Europe, because they depend in excess of foreign oil, is obviously Greece. The second, Ireland and Portugal. And the next, Spain. And obviously, energy is expensive. And you can see in this figure that we have to decouple the economic growth today from natural resource use. This is obvious because you can see the prices of the different commodities, the food, raw materials, energy, the metals and minerals. You can see that just from 1990, all the prices of these commodities increase, in some cases with an exponential increase. And then we have to change our, obviously, economic model. Well, some people talk that obviously all the 5 previous periods of growth have been possible because we have access to cheap resources. No? And obviously we have to enter in a 6th wave, and well, we need to discover some other things, but obviously today we do not have access to cheap resources. This is really obvious. Then our theory is not many elaborated. We think that something is wrong. But well, we can work more. And we think that universities have an important role in order to work just to solve problems for the people problems and the earth problem. But today we have a problem that because no any individual or institution have all the skills or all the competencies to understand all the challenges that we have today. Then we have to cooperate. We have to collaborate, different institutions, different universities with public administration, with NGOs, and this is not easy. You can see in Catalonia we have a tradition. This is the human towers. I don't know if any one has seen, but it's really incredible. This is the world record. This is in Terrassa, the city that we have the UNESCO chair, and you can see that to build this construction, they need more than 800 people in the base. Then this is a cooperative effort. Well, we are in the UNESCO chair in sustainability. We obviously, some years ago, decided that we need to collaborate with different people from Latin America. We have an international cooperation area, obviously, and we have different projects in Latin America, and we have offices now in Colombia, in Medellin, in Brazil, in Salvador de Bahia, and we have different collaboration agreements with Mexico, Peru, and Argentina. But obviously, if we want to collaborate, to cooperate, we have to solve some problems. We have here some dividing forces around these research partnerships. First of all, the governments, the agencies and the donors, they have their agendas. And most of these organizations, they don't have really good stability. They are, some of these governments are obviously politically contested, and we have problems with the agendas of these institutions. In the other part, the research partners from the global north, we have another problem. We have a strong disciplinary system. This is difficult to generate the cooperation with the different groups, and we have to publish. You know, the system of publish or perish. No? On the other hand, the beneficiaries, the concerned societies, have problems too. They have, in most instances, they have a power-based sectoral solutions. They have mainly a low value of informed decisions and different conflicting around values. And the research partners in the Global South, well, there are different cases in the different countries, but in general, there are low numbers and low density of research groups and low position in their societies. No? Then we have to solve this, and we have to arrange some solutions in order to build these research partnerships and in order to counteract these dividing forces. No? Main strategies are presented here. We think that obviously the deep collaboration between the partners from global North and global South is really basic in order to build this joint ownership and the responsibility for research, but with the link of the different groups, and obviously to strengthen the academic and societal positions of South and even the North research group. No? And around the governments and the beneficiaries, it is necessary that universities can support just all of these to build better agendas and to counteract this power-based solution. Then we have to adapt a role of that's more reference, obviously to build a more balanced and stable agendas. Well, and around this, the third aspect, we work around sustainable water management, and we obviously work around multi-scales, and this is another problem. But if you try to understand some of the problems around sustainable water management, you have to work around laboratory, you have to obviously to have pilot plans around technology, and you have to work around territory in the watershed. And we talk that mainly we have these three areas when, where we work, and we have different variables, that we are working. The first one is the river basin scale. Here we want to talk mainly just briefly about adaptation. We think that around river basin management, we have to change this territorial model, and we have to move to a model that the city just as a system that consumes to a city that is a managed system. No? Then we need to move to a territorial model that adapts and ensure the renewal of resources. No? Then we talk about resilience, because we try to understand how to make more resilient social and ecological urban system. And one of the things that we consider that is important and really few people talk is the importance of intangible heritage and the connection of intangible heritage with appropriate technologies. Today, sorry for the traditional knowledge that have many people, many cities, many regions around adaptation to land use has been forgotten from the people's memory. And obviously, from the territorial planning. No? We learn a lot in Brazil, in the northeastern of Brazil, because they talked many years ago about the struggle against drought. And today, they changed this concept. And today, they talk about living or coexisting with the semi-arid. It's a really incredible change. Just we have to adapt to our territory, to our land. And I don't know if you know the example of the Senu society. 200 years before Christ, they have a powerful flooding control system. They build some open channels, and they can live inside the river of the river basin of the river Magdalena in Colombia. Well, 200 years before Christ, and today it seems that we lost all of this capacity. No? Today we have other ways to occupy the territory, well, outside. The technological aspect and how we can connect this intangible heritage with the appropriate technologies. This is a wastewater treatment plant in northeastern Brazil, and obviously today is an appropriate technology for a swimming pool, but no for wastewater treatment. Obviously, they make a really wrong design, and even, well, the wastewater treatment doesn't work today. But today we have different, for example, natural systems to treat water, and we at the Polytechnical University of Catalonia, and with different collaboration with different groups in the world, we are trying to improve this natural system, like, for example, the constructed wetlands, that today we have a a lot of experience in different countries in Europe and in Latin America too. You know that this system works because a biofilm attached to a material like gravel obviously make the different transformations of organic matter. No? And this is really a very new system. We always talk that even the animals know. You can see this elephant that is drinking filtered water, not drink directly from the river. Well, we studied during the last 20 years the different configurations of different systems. We try to improve now using cork instead of gravel. We have an agreement with the Cork Catalan Institute. We talked with him, and we told that they can carry the bottles with the cork in the cap. But well, they carry just the cork, and we try, for example, in these pilot plants, the cork comparing with gravel, and in a pilot plants using water polluted with pesticides, and well, cork works very well, and obviously we can have more or less a 40% reduction in the cost of this system. We use this cork that is a subproduct of an industry. Well, the second step, the lab scale. Obviously, when you work with these systems, you have to study the different scales, and we talk about from macro to micro, from micro to macro, the different things. Many of the global problems comes from microbial problems, or microbial aspects, sorry. And then today we have the different tools. I don't talk today about molecular biology, but we have different tools in order to move from the old engineering concept of black box. And we have today the tools to understand the biological complexity. For example, we can today detect directly in the water the different pathogens, microbial pathogens, directly with our culture, with molecular techniques. And we can study these aspects in a plan like this that we use to study the reclaimed wastewater reusing for agriculture in order to determine the microbial risk of this reuse. Then, well, finally, another important aspect is the circular economy or the urban metabolism. All the cities today work in linear flows, like this linear flow of materials. And we have to change this kind of processes. One of the examples is the use of nitrogen fertilizers. You know that we have an extensive use of fertilizers today, and in Europe we quantify the problem, and we find that more than 40% of soils in Europe have important problems, and they declare more than 40% of areas of vulnerable in the relation by the presence of nitrates. And these have a really incredible cost. And then we have to change this pattern. We have to change this kind of flow to, obviously, to a more circular economy. This we can use the same natural systems in order to change this water balance to a more water-sensitive urban design. And we can use these constructed wetlands in order to improve the permeation, the infiltration of water, and obviously to treat this polluted runoff. No? We use this in an European project, a live European project around agriculture, and we use constructed wetlands and buffer strip, two of these technologies for the treatment of drainage and runoff water, and buffer strips just to decrease the amount of pollutants that arrive to the surface water. And obviously, this is another way to use around our cities. Finally, another important aspect is the participative process. We have all the governance and all the social participation aspects that are key aspects if we want to make some transformation processes. And all of our projects are directly participative and inclusive since the first step of the project. We talk about co-design of the project with people from the communities. And obviously, if we want to involve the population, we have to concert with this population what are we doing. And obviously, you have a process that you have to begin inform the population. You have to consult. Finally, then you can concert with this population. And finally, all of this process of transformation must be cultural. We have to change different attitudes, different values, and our main tool, obviously, is education. I have one copy of our last book on recycling the city in Spanish, with collaboration with people from Mexico and other countries. And we have expositions in order to explain some of our projects, like this Recycling the City exposition in Colombia and Spain. And you can see. Well, finally, two examples quickly. Moravia. Moravia is a big project in order to transform an old landfill in Medellin. You can see here a picture of the landfill in operation in 1983. But during the really bad days of Medellin, during the 90s, many people displaced from the rural areas come to the city, and some people begin to live just in this 50 meters garbage mountain with more than 1 million of tons garbage. And well, you can see some images of the soil. You can see the evolution of the bottles of aguardiente and ron. And the leachate problem is really important. Well, and why Barcelona is collaborating with Medellin? Well, because we have the same problem some years ago. In fact, when Arata Isozaki, the famous Japanese architect, tries to begin the construction of the Palau Sant Jordi in the Olympic area, they discover just 2 years before the beginning of the Olympic ceremony that they have the old landfill just in this place. And obviously they have no time to other solution, and they have to move all the garbage just 500 meters here. And here you can see the botanical garden in Barcelona. And I recommend that if you come to Barcelona, you can go to the Barcelona Stadium, obviously, to see Messi. But I recommend that you visit the botanical garden because it is a really beautiful example. They have an architecture prize some years ago. And it's really an example of how we can transform a really degraded area. Well, with Moravia, we want to improve, obviously, the socioeconomic and environmental conditions of the Moravia population. But we want to do this with, obviously, a powerful participative process and using sustainable sanitation solution. We have 3 main areas of these transformation processes. We use the same technologies, constructed wetlands and buffer strips. Here you can see the pilot plan just in order to treat leachate treatment, built in collaboration with the Aarhus University in Denmark. And you can see here the buffer strips. But well, it could be easy, more or less, to build this solution just from the university. But we prefer to work in, like we told before. And in fact, we make science first with the collaboration of the community. And first, we try to understand which plants could be better in order to decrease the runoff. You can see here a comparison of one control without vegetation, in red the presence of runoff, and in blue the leachate. And with just one plant, with only one plant, we achieve a reduction, a practical reduction of the water runoff. But obviously we have some infiltration. But if we compare this with one plant with the next, with the natural vegetation of from the Morro de Moravia, you can see that with this, when we increase the diversity of vegetation, we achieve a reduction in the leachate. Then, obviously, we make these experiments, obviously with one research from our university, but with close collaboration with people from the community. And once we know the best plans for these buffer strips, we constitute the Moravia Community Garden Group after an important period of formation, and 35 community leaders achieved this formation, and they build the different replicates of this community garden. These community gardens have a social function, obviously, because we incorporate the people from Moravia. Obviously, we have a landscape and environmental and educative function. And today, we finished the establishment of a flower production unit. You can see here images of this production unit for different orchideas, bromeliads, and other interesting plants, and using rainwater. Today, a cooperative of 15 women from Moravia leaders, it constitutes, and then this project achieved another success in order to improve the labor market access of the people that works here. No? Well, you can see here the evolution of the project, and you can put in YouTube Moravia, La Ruta de la Esperanza. You can see a 30 minutes documentary film with subtitles in English, if you want. Moravia, La Ruta de la Esperanza. In YouTube, you can find this documentary film. And finally, finish with talking about Regnet. Last year, in the World Urban Forum that was celebrated in Medellin too, we constituted a network of the different countries from Europe and Latin America, the Regnet, Recycling the City Network, in order to link different groups that work around all of these problems that affects mainly the cities and its border with the rural areas. We want especially to try to improve, obviously, the knowledge of these problems, and to transfer the good practices at local, especially, and regional levels. Because there are many agendas around national level, but there are not too many agendas around local and regional level. And then We work around different areas of climate change adaptation, around this circular economy and urban metabolism, and this around intangible heritage and appropriate technologies, but with a focus on community empowerment. Then this is not a network of universities. This is a network of NGOs, different arrangement of societies, of different cities, especially, and universities and other agencies. And we invite the different people. We can talk those days, but we are constructing, or we are trying to define a multi-stage conference that we want to be held in different cities, and we want to present this multi-stage conference in Barcelona this November, and we define the next two conference in Salvador de Bahia in February next year and Bogota in August. And well, it could be interesting to celebrate the fourth and the finish event here in Mexico, no? Perhaps here in San Luis Potosí. But well, we have defined 6 tables, but obviously this is open to reflection, but more or less we reflect the different aspects that I talked before in this presentation. No? Obviously, we invite all of you, and I want to tell that this is not just a network of organizations. This is also a network of scientists and individual people, because in well, you know that different scientists in some universities that had problems with its own department, no? And well, we have space for different people. You can find all of the information in our webpage that you can see here, and if you have some questions, thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, Dr. Morato, thank you very much for this very exciting presentation. I think an excellent presentation under the umbrella of this conference, where you talk about how we use natural resources to contribute to development goals. So I think a perfect example of how we can move forward in the future in a holistic way, as you presented it. I would like to ask, you are there now, so I took on behalf of Dr. Bernal the moderation, but I think I just continue, and I ask you if you have questions. Who has questions? There's one in the back. Okay, there's another microphone.
Good afternoon. You show us a project from a city, Moravia. What happened when you try to do the same scheme in a regional level? Which will be the difficult parts or the difference between improving this approach in a local level or punctual level between the regional level?
Yes, I think the Moravia is a success example, because different actors around Moravia cooperate, like the human tower. The success of this transformation process, I think the key aspects, the key aspect is mainly the close collaboration of the different actors, especially the collaboration of public administration of the area, if the city the city council in Medellin in this example, the community of Moravia, and the universities of the area. If you extend this to a regional level, well, you have to extend to more cities and more actors, because if you want, well, to finish the project with success, you need the collaboration of all of the actors of the area. If on the contrary, you can have some problems. And this is not easy, obviously.
Thank you.
I saw you work mostly with women, and why is that? Is there a specific reason because of that? And I have another question. How was the first, or how did you how did you find this community, or this case study? How was your interest to work with this community and to help them to have a better health and a better environmental situation?
Well, we work in Medellin during the last 15 years, and we work in Alpha Network, a network between Europe and Latin American countries in order to improve these constricted wetlands. And we have the coordinator of one of these projects was from Medellin, and then it was natural to find the Moravia example, no? And obviously, the powerful collaboration of the administration, the public administration of Medellin, that you know that during the last year was nominated as the most innovative city of the world, competing with New York and Tel Aviv. But well. Sorry, around women. Well, one man begins the course, but 35 women and one man. Well, it's a matriarchal society in Moravia. You know about the war, different bandas. ¿Cómo se llamaría en inglés?
Gangs.
Sí, gangs, yes. And well, even the constitution of the population in Moravia is dominated by women, even today.
Well, do you have like a procedure to establish this first contact with a community? Like how do you get there to the punctual local level? Like, how was the process, or here or anywhere, to be able to establish this kind of cooperation and programs?
Yes, is another key aspect that is not easy, but because if the people expect to some monetary gaining, no, this could be not a good way. No, we begin, and during the first 6 months, we didn't pay nothing to people, because we expect a collaboration from the people, from the community. No? But after this period, well, they constitute as a cooperative, and today they achieve a position and they sell plants grow in Moravia, and they sell these plants outside Moravia. But it's not an easy aspect, the range of this period. But obviously you have different steps as we talked before. No? Well, in more detail, we begin with, we organize Semana de Moravia. We talk 6 days when we make different celebrations and different roundtables with the different actors, the different stakeholders in Moravia. And after the second Semana de Moravia, we identify the people that could collaborate with in order to constitute this community garden group.
I'm Tania from Nicaragua, and I would like to know if you have any kind of similar experience in Central America in general, because for us, I mean, I work with several regional networks, and most of the time, Central America is not part of these initiatives. It's either Mexico, because they consider Mexico as part of Central America most of the time. Or it's either Mexico or Colombia or Brazil. But Central America is not always in the agenda, and we have so much potential to do those kind of things, and we have so many problems. If there is something similar that you can share with us or with me or so. And also, if there is any chance of bringing this conference also to the Central American region, because, for example, in my case, or normally I will need a visa to come to Mexico, and so on, so on. And in Central America, we can move very easily between countries, no? So if there is any chance to do something like that.
Well, in fact, Regnet is a network in order to improve the transference of these practices, no? These best practices, and we think that we need a tool that improves the knowledge of the different groups. We know groups from Nicaragua, from Costa Rica. We know groups that work in concerted wetlands, and well, there is some powerful research in some areas, but you need and we need to connect together in order to improve our skills, and this is really important in Central America, in South America, and in Europe, in every part, and this is one of the most important aspects. We have to connect more. Sorry? You can see for the moment here in projects, you can open the Regnet page.
Okay, any other question?
Okay.
I don't see it. I think you could see from the questions that your topics really receive a high level of attention, and well, we continue the discussion as usual in the various breaks that are ahead of us, and I think we should thank Jordi Morató once more for this excellent presentation, and looking forward for interaction with you.
Thank you.
The next thing is to visit the poster and give many comments to the presenter. They will surely thanks to you. In the room 3, and next door, and also a coffee break. No coffee break. It's coffee during the poster presentation.